What's up, everybody? Rob here. So, this is just a quick look at the life and career of Indian wrestler and old school badass, the Great Gama. And I really don't have much in the way of introduction, so okay, let's get right down to it. But before I begin, I just need to let everybody know, if you are a fan of my channel, you should know that I really am not good at pronouncing foreign names and foreign words. If you're new to this channel and if you haven't seen any of my videos, I really am not good at pronouncing foreign names and foreign words, so just letting you know ahead of time, mispronunciations ahoy. See, I even mispronounce words in English, so be prepared. So, without any further ado, the Great Gama, here we go. Ghulam Muhammad Bakish, aka the Great Gama, was born in Amritsar in the Punjab province in British-controlled India on May 22nd, 1878. He was the son of famous Indian wrestler Muhammad Aziz Bakish, so there was certainly a hereditary component to his abilities. His father was famous throughout the area as a wrestler, and certainly he instilled this on his son. Now, his father started training Gama, and I'm just going to refer to him as Gama because just for my sanity. In any case, he started training him at a very young age until his untimely death when Gama was the tender age of 6. He then was raised by his maternal grandfather and later on his uncle, who continued his training in the art of catch wrestling. Now, catch wrestling, just a real quick thing, I'm not going to go into the entire rule set. There's no single formalized rule system. It either could be submission wrestling or it could be trying to pin your opponent, sometimes both. It really depends on the particular match and the tournament. And it's more of a, if you pardon the pun here, a catch-all term. And the reason why it's called catch wrestling, or catch as catch can wrestling, is because you are allowed to catch or hold any part of your opponent's body. For example, in Greco-Roman style wrestling, you are not allowed to grab for your opponent's legs. In catch wrestling, you are allowed to do so. So that is the type of wrestling that the Great Gama participated in, just so you know. Any case, he entered his first tournament at the very young age of 10 years old. Now, this was not some local thing. This was a massive tournament with over 400 competitors in it and was overseen by the Maharaja of Jodhpur. Now, despite of his youth, he actually made it to the top 15 of the tournament, which is massively impressive for anybody, but the fact that he's 10 years old, defeating basically grown adults to get that far, I mean, that's extremely impressive. And because of his spirit and his ability and endurance, the Maharaja declared him the winner of the tournament. Thus began a more than 50-year undefeated career as a pro wrestler. Now, in his first match that gave him widespread fame, at the tender age of 17, he competed against the champion wrestler Rahim Bakish Sultaniwana in 1895. Now, Rahim was a massive competitor. He was 6'9" and weighed 300 pounds. Now, this is absolutely massive compared to the comparatively tiny Gama, who was a mere 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighed in at about 210 pounds. Now, the crowd was expecting an easy victory for Rahim because, well, he's massively stronger and larger than his opponent, had a massive reach advantage, and also he was much more experienced. He was in his mid-30s at the time, and you got this 17-year-old kid. And instead of being a slam dunk, however, the match was a draw after more than an hour of furious battle. Now, there was a rematch a few months later, which also ended in a draw after a battle of about 2 hours. Now, for the next few years, Gama would compete against the best wrestlers of all of India and beat them all very handedly. However, one prize that did elude him, however, was defeating Rahim for the final time. Basically, he wanted a definitive ending to this. He came up short both times. He wasn't defeated, but it went to a draw, and he wanted a definitive ending. So, a final rematch was scheduled, and the two met, and Gama went out all guns blazing and showed very uncharacteristic aggression, and Rahim was defeated after suffering a rib injury after a nearly 3-hour bout. With this victory, and basically being the champion of all of India, he then turned his attention to other prizes. In 1910, he traveled to London to compete in the international wrestling tournament that was being placed there. Now, at first, he was actually refused entry due to his comparatively small size. He was only, 5'7" and 210 pounds, which is very small, especially for the heavyweight division, which he wanted to enter in. Instead of just leaving, he openly challenged any wrestler to face him from any weight class, and he said he would defeat them all in under 30 minutes. He gave a particular challenge to the heavyweights, stating that he would defeat any of them, or if they were to defeat him, he would pay the prize money of winning the tournament to them himself directly and then leave London. Now, the first person to take up this challenge was the American wrestler Benjamin Roller. Gama defeated him in 1 minute and 40 seconds. An immediate rematch saw Gama victorious after 9 minutes and 10 seconds. His next opponent was Polish strongman Stanisław Zbyszko. After being taken down in the first minute, Zbyszko felt that Gama was too strong for him and stayed in a defensive position, staying prone to the mat for 2.5 hours, which was considered a cowardly act by the observers. And ultimately, the match was a draw. Now, there would be a rematch that was scheduled for a few weeks later, but Zbyszko didn't actually show up for it, and so Gama was declared the winner by default. Now, also during this tournament, he would defeat Maurice Derez of Switzerland, John Lem of Switzerland, and Jesse Peterson of Sweden. By defeating these competitors, Gama was declared the tournament victor and the world champion, earning the prestigious Bull Belt, as you see here. Now, he did continue to compete after this, but there were few people who were willing to face down this strongman. He officially ended his career in 1955 after more than 50 years, remaining undefeated the entire time. He would eventually move to what is now Pakistan after the partition of the nation between Pakistan and India, and would live out his remaining days in Lahore. He died in 1960 after complications from heart disease. Throughout his career, the Great Gama was best known for his incredible strength and endurance. And how did he achieve this massive physicality and incredible physique that you see there? Well, he trained a lot. I mean, a whole lot. Like, really. Mostly it was through calisthenics. He, upon waking up, would perform over 5,000, yes, that is not a typo or mispronunciation there. It is literally 5,000 double and single-legged Hindu squats, which is what you see me doing here. And I don't normally do these, so the form here is pretty terrible because I don't actually do these. And this was right after my actual workout, which happens to be leg day. Yay. I really did not plan this out all that well, but, hey, whatever. In any case, he would do over 5,000 of these Hindu squats, along with over 3,000 one-armed and two-armed Hindu push-ups, which is what you see here. That was his morning routine, basically calisthenics for strength and conditioning. Now, in his afternoon, in order to work on his skill set, he would grapple for up to 4 hours with many of his fellow wrestlers, sometimes taking on as many as 40 in a single day, constantly rotating training partners, so he was always facing down a fresh opponent. Now, this, of course, built up his skill set, and at the same time built up his endurance. If you've ever done any sort of grappling art, for example, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, which I did do very briefly, I can tell you it does take a lot out of you. So this certainly helped build up his skills and his endurance at the same time. And just to complete his training, to build up his stamina and his leg strength even further, he would, according to one source, he would run mountains, which is basically he would be doing hill sprints. He would be running up and down hillsides, and that, of course, builds tremendous leg strength and power as well as endurance. And how did he fuel this incredibly intensive training regime? Well, in the ever-eloquent words of the world's greatest natural vegan bodybuilder, Rich Piana, you got to eat big to get big, and the Great Gama was certainly a proponent of that. So every day he would drink about 2.5 gallons of milk mixed with 1.5 pounds of crushed almonds, which is incredibly calorie dense. If you don't know, we're talking a tremendous amount of calories there, mostly from fat. He also would consume about half a liter of ghee, which is a type of butter, as well as 6 pounds of just plain butter, as well as 6 chickens, 2 legs of mutton, and several pounds of seasonal fruit every single day, washed down with great amounts of fruit juice. This all came to roughly around 10,000 calories per day. No, I don't think he actually did this on a permanent basis. I mean, sumo wrestlers consume roughly the same amount of calories per day, and they are much, much bulkier. If you look at Gama, he's actually relatively lean, given that the absolute prodigious quantities of food that he would be eating. So this was probably done only at select times during the course of his training, very intensive parts of his training when there was a match upcoming, and not something that was done long-term. But in any case, this is an absolutely titanic amount of food to be eating, but he certainly burned it all off. So, yeah, there you go. So, in any case, yes, legendary Indian strongman, the Great Gama. Just a really quick and brief look at him. I just found it interesting and entertaining, and I hope you found this interesting and entertaining too. In any case, please hit the like and subscribe button. More videos coming out whenever I get around to it, and have a good day. Or don't have a good day. Your adults have any kind of day you want. See you later.